All right, everybody. Welcome to Shitty UFC Predictions, UFC 253. Today is a great honor. The legend, the myth, the MMA analyst, that you all know. And if you don't know, well, then I don't even know why you're on this YouTube video. Go somewhere else. You know him by his Twitter handle, Sriram says. Sriram, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. Love what you're doing over at the fight site. I had Ed Gallo on the show last week, and he said that if I had gone 3-0, he would have given up all predictions and just used my method. A little mad about that because I went 1 for 3 on the main card, which I should have been 2 for 3. I blame Jason Herzog for following the rules and taking a point immediately after one warning. Yeah, you get at least 3 warnings for that. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. So thanks, Herzog. But yeah, so it's a pleasure to have you on. Everybody knows your stuff. You've done analysis for the Body Lock before. You're killing it at the fight site. Everybody knows who you are. So I'm excited to share my analysis with you because I know, I think I can add that extra layer to your game. Like, you've got an amazing game, but I think I could add, just take it a little bit, take it even further, So
Yeah. I mean, it's my pleasure to be here. I'm definitely not beating Ed on any scale, including charisma, attractiveness, or being correct. But thanks for all the compliments. I think I do a solid job looking at fights, but the results are always what's missing all the time. So I guess I'm just not doing it correctly. So a 1 for 3 is an improvement.
Hey, I mean, first of all, don't be so harsh on yourself. Everybody knows you're more attractive than Ed. That's a given.
I will not believe that. I refuse.
Well, all right, let's stop. Let's get a little serious here because we can compliment each other all day because we know we're the best. But the fans want to see our predictions, so let's get into the prediction mode here. All right, serious now. Now we got the arena. So we'll go through the top 3 fights on the card, and then any other card any other fight you want to cover at the end as a bonus. We'll give that to the fans as well. We should be charging. We're not yet. Eventually we will, because we can't go wrong. Obviously. So let's start with the analysis and pick for Kai Kara France versus Brandon Royval. What do you got for me on that?
Okay, so Brandon Royval, I've only seen one of his fights, the one in the UFC with Tim Elliott, and Elliott as a win is kind of decaying super quickly. I thought he lost a fight, and since I'm not going to go into a ton of detail on shitty MMA predictions, and there's really nothing to say about this. I mean, I like Kai Kara France a lot. He's pretty cool. He's one of those TMT guys who, like, when the TMT guys don't have the link that Adesanya and Hooker do, they tend to fight in like a similar, like, in-out, out-fighting way. I think Kai Kara France has it. Royval is just pure meme magic, so I guess we'll go with that.
So pure mean magic. I like that. I like that style. That sounds, you are the expert here, so I'm loving that. When I break this down, I look at Kai Kara France, who has had some wins, had some losses, came up through the Ultimate Fighter, lost that season, I believe, where Tim Elliott became the champion, right? And ended up challenging Demetrius Johnson. So that right there already puts Kai Kara France on the back burner for me. Then add in the fact that Royval's nickname is Raw Dog, and he takes people down. I saw him in his last LFA show when he won the belts. And to be fair, that was a super short notice fight against his opponent, and I believe he had a good 8-inch reach on it, and it was the guy showed up, I think, 3 or 4 days beforehand. So but he finished him very quickly, and he looked good against Elliott scrambling. But again, like you said, Tim Elliott's wins are decaying. But that being said, to me, I think somebody goes in there named Raw Dog and just out wrestles Tim Elliott. You got to pick him. So I think we're on the same page there. I think that's what you got to do. All right, easy peasy. Second match, the co-main event. for the now this is a whole nother conversation we will do some other day. But on the website, UFC website, I'm pretty sure it still says UFC interim light heavyweight championship, which is an interesting tidbit. But this should be for the undisputed light heavyweight championship because Jones has supposedly vacated it. We've got Dominick Reyes versus Jan Blachowicz. Who do you got? Give me that expert Sriram analysis that we all know is guaranteed to get us a winner here.
Okay, so I think the UFC on the interim thing, they're treating Jones like they would Henry Cejudo. It's like Henry Cejudo is just, I'm coming back, guys, anytime when there's a champion. So Jones isn't really gone, and I think everyone knows that. On the fight, I think, so if I were to be serious, I'd say Reyes is a bad fight for Yan because he's a big southpaw against a jabber, and he's a good counterpuncher against a guy who likes to break stance and run at people a lot. But this is something that the heavy hands guys have brought up a lot. Jan Blachowicz kind of is what light heavyweight is. He's like the platonic ideal of what a light heavyweight can be, where Dominick Reyes is just not really a light heavyweight at all. He's just a big, good fighter, which kind of disgusts me because that should not be a light heavyweight. So, yeah. And honestly, I'm kind of rooting for Jan Blachowicz because I want Jon Jones to look as bad as possible. And if Jan Blachowicz wins, then Jones turns to like the 5th best guy in the division. So it becomes like, so right now we got like 4 different light heavyweight belts floating around. You've got the Anthony Smith belt, the DQ belt that went to Alexander Rakic. And that went to Glover Teixeira. Rakic has no belt. I went to Glover Teixeira. Then you've got the Santos belt when Santos beat Jones. And you've got the Reyes belt when Reyes beat Jones. So right now, Jones is, if Reyes loses to Jan, he'd be like number 6 in the division. And that's just too delightful for the universe to pass up. So I'm going to say Jan Blachowicz runs into a couple counters and then Reyes gasses out of nowhere and dies.
I like that you took it to the point where he gasses out of nowhere and dies. And I love the belts. I'm a little upset that because we all know, us true analysts know that there are 4 light heavyweight belts circulating around. Each of them has said belts. Glover now has the belt with the big DQ spray painted on it. Santos and Reyes each have their own belts. I wish they would walk to the cage with that, with their belts. I think that would make it that much better. I think you could have a stare down with all, 4 guys in the ring with their belts, have a, fatal four-way type cage action. Yes. Yeah, that'd be amazing. UFC's really dropping the ball on that. So you brought up some great points where Reyes is really just more of a big athlete. I would agree with that. I feel like he's just a big dude. He's got solid enough boxing. It is light heavyweight, so who knows, right? But he's just a big athletic dude that tends to win. Struggled with a split decision win over Ozdemir, then goes out and I don't count the knockout of Chris Weidman because I'm pretty sure anyone can knock out Chris Weidman at this point.
I'm pretty sure 10-8 by Omari Akhmedov. That's not a valuable win.
Yeah, it's for me, I could fight Chris Weidman, and if I didn't get finished, I could end up landing a knockout blow at some point. So yeah, sorry all Chris Weidman fans. I know there's a bunch of you, but sorry. That all being said, I'm apparently on Reddit. I always see people on Reddit talk about Chris Weidman. That's still my boy, all that stuff. So
I could see being a fan of what Chris Weidman used to be, because that's why I still like Michael Johnson. Man, being invested in Weidman results is it's sad. I feel sorry for all you Weidman fans.
Yeah. If you're a Weidman fan right now, you are a stronger man than I, because that's gotta hurt. But
he's off a win for the first time in 4 years.
Yeah. Yes. But we digress. So, I like Yan in this matchup too. I feel like Yan tends to get beat up until he lands a big shot. Very timid fight against Jacare, but I mean, if I'm fighting a guy that walks around and does a big gator clap and acts like a gator, I'd be a little timid too. So I feel like that's reasonable. Reyes, I think, also is distracted by the fact that Jones is going up to heavyweight and he's convinced he won that fight. And, living in Texas, as you can see by the shirt, I gotta agree, that judging was a little suspect. And by little, I mean really wrong. But that all being said, I think Reyes is distracted here. I think he's going to follow Jones up to heavyweight, try and challenge him because he wants that one. He's already thinking about bulking up, and he's thinking he can just run through Yan. I think Yan eats a bunch of shots and then lands a big one, and the universe is hilarious because then I don't even know what you make of the light heavyweight rankings. So yeah, I'm with you
I
too.
mean,
That's
yeah. One more thing, Reyes' hair now is just way too bad to be a champion. When he went to the Jones fight, he actually had actual hair, and now it looks like he's hanging on to it because he's balding, which it's really bad. And Jan Blachowicz has like he has a nice big beard, and he has like solid hair. He has the look of a champion, where Reyes is he just has the skills of a champion. Who wants that?
yeah. See, this is where when Ed came on, he was all serious, all like, "Hey, gotta break everything down." But these are valid points. Man, I'm not even sure you need my help. I think you're already on the path. So yeah, I think we're in agreement there too. So final matchup. Let's talk about the main event: Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. A long time coming. Uh, very goofy and awkward press conferences and interviews. I don't even know what to make of them. Uh, who do you got here, and how? How do they get it done?
Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing I did for the last fight and kind of be serious for a second, but only for a second because this fight is kind of too complex to break down seriously for a long time. Um, I think Costa's a bad fight for Izzy because he is a committed pressure fighter who's going to probably take away Izzy's opportunities to create even exchanges or uneven exchanges rather. And he's a big puncher on the inside. He can hit the body when Izzy leans back or tries to move laterally. But more importantly than all of that, Costa is winning the press conferences hands down. Izzy is way too skinny, and he's going to give up when he feels Costa's punches on his skinny ribs, as Costa put it. That's all the input I have from a meme perspective. Neither of these men have the luck of the hanged man that Jan Blachowicz does. So yeah, it's going to be Paulo Costa KO1 based solely on the Romero fights. One of them is incredibly scared, and the other one is just going to walk forward and kill him.
Yeah, no, I can't believe we forgot about the luck of the hanged man. No, that's a mistake on my part because yes, that's a huge part of my analysis. Is like you touching a hanged man's body. It's clearly made a deal with somebody, some entity.
Yeah, and
He's getting that
Blachowicz.
belt. He, there you go. There's no more needs to be said on that. If you don't pick Yan, if you don't bet your house on Yan, which disclaimer, do not take any of our advice seriously and place actual bets on them. That being said, if you don't bet your house on Yan, you're messing up. It's clear. All right, so getting back to the Izzy Costa fight, though, I think we've talked about how you brought up a great point in terms of Izzy being kind of gun shy against Romero. I feel like Costa has a very similar style to Romero from a technical standpoint. That could be an issue because Costa's just going to keep walking forward. But beyond that, and more importantly, you brought up that Costa's winning these press conferences, man. He's just 10-8 in them in press conferences. He's in Izzy's head. My deciding factor is as good as Izzy has looked in the octagon. They had that interview where Costa was just like, "Look at these abs, bro," and Izzy was like, "That's disgusting, makes me sick." And it's like, man, dude, Izzy, he's not gonna be wearing a shirt during the fight, so you're gonna be nearly throwing up the whole fight. It's gonna be a real problem for you. I expect to see a lot of Adesanya gagging. Looks like he's maybe been eye poked because he's constantly gagging and trying to close his eyes. I expect Costa to run right through him. So I'm with you. I think it's round one Costa because Adesanya just can't stand the sight of Costa's abs. So I think that's pretty much it. I think it's donezo. I think it's over.
Yeah, and also this year has been very good to my friend Riley on Reddit, Seawood96, who also backed Figueiredo very hard. And he's now a big Costa fan. So Costa via KO1 easily, no question whatsoever. And again, you just look at the Romero fights where one of them was just completely petrified and the other ran at him like there was absolutely no threat. So,
Yeah.
if you're not scared of Romero, what can anybody do to you? We saw that with Whitaker, Izzy, where Whitaker won clearly, in my mind.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean,
Whitaker
yeah,
10 out of 10, KO1.
Yeah, Whitaker. Everybody knows that Whitaker, basically in that fight decided, hey, it's time for changing the guard. This will be big for New Zealand. I gotta do this. He's squared away with his Fallout 76 Twitch streams. He's good. He's just passing the torch, so to speak, right? So, all right. So with that in mind, we've covered the main fights. I believe we're in agreement for every fight, so we can't be wrong here. I'm pretty sure this is a done deal. Is there any other fight on this card that you think has got great, from a analyst standpoint, it's awesome to look at, good fight you're excited about, anything like that we can, as a bonus to these diehard fans we have?
All right, so so there's one very very obvious one on the undercard, and there's one that's less obvious. I'm going to start with the less obvious one: Brad Riddell versus Alex De Silva. Brad Riddell of the fight sites generally favorite prospects. He's very good. He's a former kickboxer who gave guys like Cedric Doumbé some solid. I don't know if it's Cedric Doumbé, probably Cedric Doumbé, but he gave some very good kickboxers a lot of trouble. I think Regis Oersel too. Danny's going to kill me for mispronouncing that. But I don't watch kickboxing. I just read the article. So, yeah, he gave some kickboxers a lot of trouble. Now, where I see the problem here is that the UFC kind of deserves to have all their prospects fall apart completely with the way that they're booking this. Alex De Silva is not very interesting whatsoever. So, naturally, Alex De Silva is going to win via guillotine. And then the only prospect that the UFC will have for lightweight is Demiris Magulov, who is the best fighter in the world, on the planet, at lightweight, period. So, yeah, just from a karmic standpoint, it's going to be Demiris Magulov, the only prospect left, which means Brad Riddell has to lose. I'm sorry, Brad, we love you, but that's going to happen. The other one is, of course, Diego Sanchez versus Jake Matthews. Matthews is, I believe, a massive favorite on the books, which has never made sense in the history of Jake Matthews' career. He was like minus 200 over James Vick and Kevin Lee. But this is Diego Sanchez. So speaks for itself.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things where for the Riddle fight, the thing is, I looking at that fight, Brad Riddle to me is going to win simply because for Alex De Silva, he shares his namesake with Anderson Silva. And it's almost, in fact, it's almost Anderson Silva. You think probably what they did was they said, we can't name him Anderson Silva because there's already an Anderson Silva, but we can do Alex De Silva. So that makes sense. So they ran with that. And
it's like there's that dude named Anderson Dos Santos.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Which, not a bad call, because then you're trying to, combine Anderson Silva and Junior Dos Santos into one amazing fighter. Hasn't worked out the way that they've hoped, but you get my point. So I think Silva here is a little too, he's lost that spider namesake power, which is going to drain him. He's going to come in and he might very well guillotine. You might be right. Karma is strong, could easily bite the UFC, but I think he's just lost too much power here with Silva continually trying to fight. Who's Silva fighting now? Hall, is that who they're trying to book for a retirement fight or something like that?
Yeah, that's going to be hilarious.
Yeah, it's going to be ridiculous. So I think Riddle gets it done just because, you're a knockoff Anderson Silva based on what I assume your parents tried to do, cashing in on Anderson Silva's namesake, and it's just not panning out. So sorry, I got to give Riddle that one. And then when you're looking at Diego Sanchez versus Matthews, yeah, Matthews is a huge favorite. I think negative 750 is the last I saw. But Diego's been doing all that crazy stuff. I don't even meditation and doing interviews while he's sweating and, making a lot of sense, of course. Probably the most clear-headed Diego Sanchez we've ever seen, making tons of sense. So to me, I look at that and I saw that, oh, wait a minute, that's right. He beat the great Mickey Gall. So between beating Mickey Gall and getting DQ'd, because Pereira, Michel Pereira, whoever was just high on, everyone forgets that Sanchez forced Pereira to DQ him, because otherwise Pereira was going to lose that fight. He didn't want to get finished. He wanted to go on the hype train, so he's like, man, I got to DQ him. This is my only way to stop him. So I think we're going to see that, chicken walk, whatever that is, where he walks around and does that. Yeah, exactly. I think we're going to see Sanchez do that. And I think Jake Matthews, like you said, he's been a heavy favorite against guys like Kevin Lee. And who was the other guy you mentioned? Vic. Yeah. I mean, which James Vick isn't the greatest fighter, but yeah, still, I think you gotta go Sanchez on this one. I think they're really pushing. I think the UFC is really pushing Matthews, and it's just not going to work out. That's my take on it. So, with that being said, we have now we're on the main card, we're in agreement, but on the undercard, we're disagreeing here. We'll recap, see how it goes. I, if I don't feel like there's a need to bet like me and Ed did, where if he went, if I went 3-0, he had to do my style because clearly you're already tuned into this. Like, there's not much more I can teach you. You know, I think you've pretty much got this. So
I
I
learned
mean,
a
good
lot
job,
anyway.
man. Hey, you know what? I'm glad I could give you something out of this. And yes, definitely make sure that the rest of the Fight Site guys adopt this methodology. Still waiting on my contract, exclusive contract with the Fight Site. I'm sure it's coming. I'm
It's in the
positive of
mail.
that. It's just, yeah, that's what
The
Ed said.
USPS shut down, so
Right, yeah, everything going on with that. It's coming. It's just gonna be a while. I get it. No worries at all. I'm excited to do that exclusive, high paid contract work for the Fight Site. So, with that
yeah,
being
paid
said,
up
you
it
can.
is.
Oh yeah, definitely. Uh, that being said, where can we find you on Twitter, Instagram, all that fun stuff, and anything else you want to talk about? Any other projects, anything going on that you would like to
Uh,
plug?
right. So I wrote a thing on Abdulaziz Abdulbakhabov versus Alexander Sarnasky, which, given just the long name, you should know that fight is very, very good and very Russian. Yeah, it was a great fight. It's my pick for fight of the year. I wrote a thing on that, submitted it to Reddit. So check that out. You can find me on Twitter at Sriram M says. I didn't make you spell the last name because that would be cruel and unusual punishment. But yeah, that's pretty much all. I don't use Instagram because I'm not attractive enough. So yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. I'm pretty sure. You know what? I'll talk to Ed when I get my Fight Side contract. We'll do it. We'll do a calendar body shot with the boys. We'll each get our own spread. It'll be great. I think you're underselling yourself. But yeah, thanks for coming on. Appreciate that insight. And as always, take our disclaimer. Don't actually bet on our stuff, but maybe
Consider it.
you should. Yeah, consider it. Maybe you should. Just think about it. Just think about it.